All right, my friends, let's take a look at the MacroPulse quiz, 16 September 2025. 4 questions. Let's do the first one, combining Excel, FRED, data analysis, and macro output. The GDP item, real non-residential fixed investment. Pause right away. You know, you're talking about the GDP accounts, which means you can go to the BEA. You can look at the latest GDP report, start flipping through the various tables, and you can start to see where this one resides. I could take you there in a minute. Is subdivided into investment for structures, equipment, and intellectual property. So we have 3 components. They should be adding up to that total. What is equipment spending's share of real non-residential fixed investment? Report the data for the second quarter 2025. I give you some red tickers and I give you some ways to provide that information. Now, how do you get that? There's a few ways. Let me show you how to do it in Excel with the FRED add-in. Within Canvas, you will have those tickers, which you can copy over. I went ahead and I did that, and I started out in A1. If you're going to use the FRED add-in, make sure you put one date. That's going to tell you multiple columns all lined up. Then I put in each of the 4 tickers. At this point, you don't know what those are. You could go and actually look up each one individually, but the add-in will do it for you. How do I know the date? Well, this is GDP. We know GDP is out quarterly. I'm also asking you for a Q2 number. Now, I need shares. Okay, so if I need shares, that means I need the raw dollar amounts, no transforms, LIN. That's the linear transformation or one-to-one mapping. I'm going to do that on all of them. I need it for the second quarter of 2025. You can pick whatever date you want as long as you encompass that. I picked back to the Q1 of 2020. You can do whatever you want there. You can leave A4 blank because it's going to give you whatever is the most recent, which at this point is Q2, which is what you need. Once you get those written up, get data. And when it all populates, you will get the identification of each of those tickers. Structures, equipment, IP, and that's your total. Okay, so that means that we know we need B divided by E, C divided by E, D divided by E to get shares. So you could do that straight up in Excel. B divided by E, I put dollar signs on E, one before the E column, one before the 28. That's going to lock in both the column and the row so that I can do that same formula in each of these 3 columns. That gives you those shares. Now, which one did I need? If you read through, I need equipment's share. We said equipment, when you read through it, is in column C. That is your answer right there. That's not the only way to get to this. Let's go to FRED. And few ways. What we can think about is, how do I find that data? The slow way would be, all right, on Canvas, you can go ahead, you can copy, and then you could go in here and you could paste it in, and then you could hit enter, and then you could search for it. That's one. And then you would need to computer share. All right, so then how do I do that? Well, you can go to edit graph, and remember, you can do formulas. So I need to take this divided by something. I need to divide it by the total. So how do I know what the total is? Well, if you did this in the Excel add-in, you would know. But if you did an Excel add-in, you would need to do this on FRED anyway. So that's a little bit of a yarn. What you'll do is you copy each of them over, and you can add a new line. And this takes a while, right? That's a little slow and boring. So what's an alternative? Let's open up a new one. You go to FRED, and I know this is GDP, yeah? So let's go to the release. Let's look for GDP. CD, gross domestic product. Okay, lots of tables. You don't know where to start. We did a little demo in class. Let's start in section 1. And if you can't find it there, you got to go to section 2. All right, it's not percentage change because I need those dollars. Remember the lit. It's not a contribution. Again, I need the dollars. It's not a quantity. It's not a price. Gross domestic product, that's close, but I need, remember, I need real. There you go, 1.16. I need it quarterly. I asked for Q2. So, all right, you got all, look at all these different components. We said we wanted the gross domestic product. We wanted the investment, non-residential fixed investment, non-residential fixed investment in structures, equipment, and IP. You go to add graph and you get all the components there. Now, are those the same ones? PNI, PNFIC1. Go back to Excel. PNFIC1. B00, blah, blah, blah. B00, blah, blah, blah. All right, so we got the right ones. Now, what you can do is use this to do some transforms. You can do this to compute some transformations to get to the shares if you want, but then what you're going to need to do is some divisions. How would you do to the divisions? Just a little sneak peek at that. All right, so let's take one of them. Let's take structures. Right, so I need to do structures divided by the total. Which one was the total? Right there, PNFIC1. So let's add on another PNFIC, real private non-residential fixed investment. Boom. Add that one in. Now that's not enough, right? Because now I got two series in there. I need to divide the structures by that total, apply that formula. All right, now I got a share. In fact, let's do it for the others. All right, let's do equipment. And let's add in that same PNFIC1. There you go, right? And then divide that by B, the total. That's 2 out of 3. Go to IP. I didn't mean to run. PNF. There we go. A divided by B. That's IP divided by the total. And now I got a bunch of shares. Okay, so the graph looks kind of funky, right? Because look, I got numbers like 0.17, 0.39, 0.43. Then I have 3,650, which is in billions of dollars. So one of them clearly doesn't look like its friends. It's shares and dollars. Let's get rid of one. Remember how to do that in FRED. Line, top one, line one. Want to get rid of that? Delete, remove. Now I got these shares. Click on over, and you got the one in that brownish, orangish, whatever color that is. Equipment at 39%. Go back to Excel. That's your 39%. Now, in this particular plot, I formatted it as bars. If you want to be fancy, like me, format bars, and then you could put it to 1 year and easy peasy. All right, that's the first one. Hope that helps.